I am a really big horror fan, but despite that, I never really took to the original Candyman film. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I don't necessarily rate it as highly as a lot of other horror fans. That being said, I did want to check out Candyman, the 2021 film, at some point, and it's now on Amazon Prime, so I figured now is as good a time as ever. And actually, I really enjoyed it, and I'm quite surprised to see it's got a rating of 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb. That's not a terrible rating, but I was expecting it to be quite a bit higher because I thought it was actually very effective. Maybe if a lot of fans of the original are rating it, then maybe I can understand because remakes or reinterpretations are rarely as good as the original. I'm not saying this is better than the original, but for me personally, I think it appealed more. It's not a remake, it technically does actually follow on and it does rely on the original for a lot of source material. So it is a sequel, and this involves an individual called Anthony who is an artist, and he starts creating these pictures that are very kind of visually disturbing, representative of the Candyman. And of course, I'm slightly concerned by how many times I'm going to say the name. Um, but obviously, he starts saying the name, and it seems like he's brought him back. And there's a reason why that worked, why it was effective, and what his connection is with that individual. And obviously, as it progresses, we get to see the Candyman. I'm genuinely nervous to say his name. Getting kind of getting stronger and more effective and affecting more and more people, and basically anybody Anthony comes into contact with is potentially at risk. And I think the way they reveal information is very effective. The pacing is really good. We learn more about Anthony as an individual and what potential connection with Candyman he might have, and why now, why he has returned now. And I think they reveal the information very well, and I think it's effectively done. And I think the gore level is brilliant. It doesn't hold back. It's quite graphic. There are some jump scares. The one that got me the most was the one in the lift or the elevator when he looks up and well, I won't say what happens, but just be on your guard because it is quite intense. It's not the most horrific film I've ever seen. It's not the most terrifying. It's not the most atmospheric, but it does the job well. Also, I will never watch Willy Wonka in the same way again because over the intro title sequence it uses the song Candyman from, well, not originally from Willy Wonka, but of course features in Willy Wonka. And at least I don't believe it's originally from Willy Wonka. I think it is a song before that. But anyway, the Candyman song, the Candyman can, and they warp that so that it's a lot more disturbing, and it features occasionally throughout, and it's very effectively done. But definitely has changed my perception of that song. I think it's really interesting. I think the narrative is actually very detailed, very well developed, and very well executed. Anthony as a character is very likable. Personally, as an artist of the written word, I can feel that stress, I can feel the tension. There's a lot you could analyse into this about how it's kind of an outward pouring of his inward artistic struggle. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but definitely if you wanted to write a paper on that, there's a lot of material there with which you could work. Brianna as a character I really liked. I thought she was very good. I don't really have any complaints. There were some flashbacks, but not so many that you constantly felt like you were being taken out of the present narrative. I think it worked with the original film and gave it a new flavour very effectively. I think the sequel of Candyman, for me personally, was better than the original. But I can see why the original is effective. I feel like the bees featured more prominently in the first film, and maybe that's why I didn't take to it as much, because that genuinely irritates me because I don't like them at all. I really do not. No, I can't. I can't. I've only just realised why he's called the Candyman. Honey. Yep, bees like honey. Honey is sweet, sweet like candy. Okay, that took its time. But regardless of all of that, I thought it was brilliantly effective, very well done. Quite realistic blood most of the time. The scene in the bathroom, I thought maybe not not quite as realistic. This is where somebody tells me they actually used like real pig's blood or something. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Regardless, Candyman was one that I really enjoyed, and if you're a fan of horror, regardless of your opinion of the first film, I'd say check it out. If you haven't seen the first film, you don't need to have watched it to understand it. It does kind of recount the first film enough to give you a general overview, but at the same time, I would say watch the first film just to see what you think of it. But regardless, Candyman, currently on Amazon Prime. If you're a horror fan, definitely worth checking out.